trouble. Time for a bit of Jim Does Supercoach. Doing our AFL Round 6 Team Reveal. We're basically a day out before Supercoach kicks off for this week. Thursday night game against, Carlton Collingwood. I'll be there. I'm already angry. It's all going on. But anyway, how did you go this week? Did you have a good gather round? I had a great time watching gather round. I was up in Sydney for a couple of days. It was really interesting actually experiencing gather round, having been there the last couple of years. This year, watching it at home, then watching it from pubs in Sydney. It was pretty weird. But anyway, I didn't have too bad of a week in the actual Supercoach sphere. Managed a 22.38, which was pretty good, I thought. Moved me up 11,000 places. So I'm now up into the top 7% overall, 12.422, which is okay. And basically it all came down to a very simple move. I think this is what we talked about on last week's show. Essentially culling a couple of mid prices to go to Naz and Jacob Farrow. And I think that was it, right? I ended up going Naz and Farrow, which I want to say is a combined 238 points. To get there, I said goodbye to Connor Budarick and Joey Fonte, who combined for 129 total points. So that's a win. It also kind of helps because Budarick is now out injured and I don't have to use a trade there. And Fonte is kind of a bit disappointing. Is going to start going backwards soon because GWS, he didn't have to do too much this week. But I don't know. His role's changed slightly. I don't like it as much, but here we are. He's out of the team anyway. So what are we going to do this week? Well, there's a lot of stuff going on, isn't there? There's a lot of problems. Noah Anderson out with an appendectomy. His appendix is done. Dev Robertson, ACL, done for the season. Zorko out 2 to 3 weeks with a calf. He's he's 37. You want to be a bit conservative there, I reckon. Budarick, 2 to 3 weeks at the moment. We've got Tim English still being assessed with his MCL. Petracca's coming back, it looks like. We've got some underperforming types out there. Dan Houston, McKercher, even Jordan Clark. It's all sort of happening, right? And so what are we going to do this week? What are we worried about? Really, if you're in the Noah Anderson sort of bin, you've got a lot of choices here for your midfield replacements. And if you look through some of, obviously, the most traded in and out players, Milan Murdock is the other one that is sort of looking to come back this week. Which is at least a nice kind of thing. But you've got a lot of options if you want to trade out Noah Anderson. And one of them is the man I mentioned just before, Petracca coming back. It's almost just like a whang. There you go. Almost a straight swap. 542 for Noah Anderson, 570 for Petracca. I'm not going to go, spoiler alert, I'm not going to go to Petracca this week, even though they've got the Bombers. Break even at 101. He'll probably get there. He's had a couple of huge games. I just want to see if they ease him back into the game. So maybe he doesn't go massive. But anyway, I'm just saying. There's my thoughts of that. There's a couple of other little queries out there. Jagger had a quiet week. Jack Watkins had a stinker again. Both in a lot of teams. And you sort of get to this point of Jagger Smith, he's fine. It'll be fine. They play the Pies this week. The talent is there. The role just got a little bit shifted around this week. Didn't like that. But I think they'll throw him back into the guts and try and get some speed around the ball. Obviously, with Watkins, that's a real tough one. I feel like one of my sort of guiding vibes here is we've now got at least a couple of weeks worth of, that's no good for Jack Watkins. Sat on the bench for a big chunk of time last week as well. You can cut your losses on a rookie. They've made a little bit of cash as Jack Watkins. If he starts going backwards and his break even is around 80 this week, you can jump off. It sucks burning a trade with only 80 odd thousand made or whatever, but it's okay. We're not going to lose too much sleep about it because it's going to take that much work for him to get back up to a point where he's making you loads of cash that it's easy to jump to another person on the bubble and away we go. Anyway, so that's a couple of... Who are the other underperformers that were sort of in a lot of teams? I mean, Grill managed only 59. He's still in 70% of teams. It's not that too bad. Leo Lombard, 49, but he's still going upwards in price, even though it's like a little bit. Todd Marshall came back, ripped off a 48. Didn't do a giant amount for the Power, but they do have the Hawks this week. Be interesting to see if he comes over. Keep an eye on that one when teams get named tomorrow. Braden Cook manages 63. Yeah, it's not, Kitty Coleman only had the 68 for the Lions, but still his price keeps going up. Budarick was a disappointment with the 72, but now he's out. And as I mentioned, Joe Fonte in a lot of teams still too. Zeke Ullin only managed at 35. Dan Houston's probably the big stinker, just hanging out there, 55, but they're playing the Blues this week. He'll probably go massive, so I'm going to keep him around. Darcy Parish turned around and went whack. But yeah, who went well? That was the obviously the big one. Isaac Heaney was massive. He was so good in that game against the Suns. 196. He's only in 4.2% of teams, and this is it. Like, the Heen man has been in rare form. No Goulden at the moment. I think Heaney being back, he's sort of the forgotten man. I love Isaac Heaney, but now he's up to 632,000 with that massive score. It's going to be very hard to get him. Bailey Smith ripped up 151. Butters had 145 and got into a brouhaha with the umpire. Archie Roberts, 145. I love him. He's only in 8.3% of teams still. Absolute ball magnet. Might be a little bit of inconsistency incoming here and there, but wow, can he get the pill. Max Holmes, 138. Love that. Darcy Parish, 137. Naz with the 136. Finn Callahan. Love Finn Callahan. Worry about him this week, the James Jordan tag against the Swans. Tom Atkins, really good week for him, 133. And Lockie Neal, keeping the faith, 132. Enjoyed that from him. Maxi Gorn, if you brought him in for Tinglish, 131, you were happy with that. Zach Bailey, 130. Going off his head. Luke Parker, 129. Shees, 127. Zeret, 127. Rochelle, 127 as well. The Rochelle and Rankin vibes are pretty interesting for me. For the simple fact that, look, Rochelle went off his head, kicked 4 early goals. Rankin rips off a 103, dropped 34 Ks at 440. Definitely probably one of my favourite targets in the next couple of weeks. They play the Saints this week, so I'm a little bit but they are at home. They then have the Lions, and they play Port, Richmond, North. Not bad. So that's the guys who did pretty well this week. The cash cows that we're looking at, I mean, the obvious one is Milan Murdock. If he's coming back, he should be in your team. He's in a lot. His break-even is minus 143, right? He's already in a lot of teams as it is. So I guess the question is, like, if you don't have him, why not? And I'm getting him in this week. It was nice, we had the 2-week look. He went absolutely hammer and tongs. It was absolutely fantastic. He's owned by 40% of coaches. Get him in your team. He's going to be unreal, right? As long as he's named, of course. If he's not, then we get another week of not having him in there. Flynn Perez, there's a little bit of a question around his job security. Break even to minus 62. A defensive rookie at 99K. You love that. Just not entirely convinced about how long he's going to be in your team. That's the tough one. Jacob Farrell was fantastic for the Bomb Rays. 102. Break even to minus 57 now. Happy he's in my team already. You've still got what? Lockie Gulbin for the Suns managed to 39, break even to minus 42. But the one I am keeping an eye on, and I'm probably going to bring in here, Tom Edwards on the Bombers. I think they'll stick with him as well. They just sort of need a little bit of what he gave them on the weekend around the ball up in the forward line. Break even to minus 39. Jai Sarong, break even to minus 37, looking pretty good. Fawcett for the Tigers, break even to minus 37. A lot of 50s there. Dirksen, break even to minus 34. He hasn't really had like the breakout score. He's gone, 40 and 53, I think he managed in his 2 games. And Angry Angus Anderson, 1 week in for the Pies, kicked a ripper goal at a 79. So his break even is minus 33. This is it. I don't really enjoy going early on rookies, but he looked very, very, very good. But yeah. So what are we going to do this week, Jim? Well, I don't know. I think my defensive setup feels pretty good at the moment with Sinclair and Naz. Sicily has been just solid. Got back up to like the 489K mark. Hopefully can sort of hover around there. If he just he's playing a really great role just to continue that Supercoach scoring, hopefully. Dan Houston, I expect to bounce back this week. I'm going to start Sarong, I think, on field. The Dogs are running out of bodies. It'd be interesting to see if they bring back Jax. Selwood managed a 74 this week as well. He's on my bench. Lindsay, though, was very good for the Eagles, so he had an 80. So it might be Sarong and Lindsay for the minute that we start there in defense. The mids, still Butters, Dacos, Sarong, Lockie Neal, Sam Walsh, Taylor Bruin, keeping Jagger. Jacob Farrow stays on the field for me. Blamires, awesome. Keeping him around, keeps making a lot of cash. Carroll had a good bounce back. He had 76 for the Saints this week. Stays in the team, will keep making a bit of cash. Milan Murdock comes in. And that's probably at the place of, I think, who have I swapped around here? It will be Watkins and Dev Robertson in some sort of way, right? Where I've switched them around. So Milan Murdock's on the bench for the minute. We'll just see how he's doing. The rucks still Luke Jackson, Lockie McAndrew. Jackson's been fantastic. The forwards, Shees, Sam Darcy, Stupid Sexy Flanders. Then we've got, and this is the thing, when you sort of look at that forward line, you're like, geez, I wish I had my Petracca. But we've got Darcy there. We move to hopefully Petracca in the next couple of weeks. Braden Cook, Goddard, who was awesome, 92 for the Giants on the weekend. Marshall with the 48. Hopefully he gives us a big score this week. Lombard and Tom Edwards comes in from the Bombers. Still got the Bont in the flex. Feel okay about this week. So the moves, simply for me, just a bit of cash gen. Dev Robertson done. So in comes Milan Murdock. And then I think up forward, you can obviously switch out Jack Watkins, Tom Edwards for me. Just a bit of a cash grab. I think that leaves me with like $235K in the bank for next week for hopefully once we hit real deal upgrade season. We've got plenty of cash in the bank to make sure we're, just stocking up on premos. In terms of captaincy stuff this week, that's the big question, I reckon. I managed to hit on Naz this week. Felt okay about it because, I don't know, up against the power, you just expected him to get plenty of the pill. Dacos, always massive against Carlton. I'm just going to throw the VC on him. And what I do like, I really like the idea of Sheasel against Richmond. There's just going to be a lot of Shees, a lot of opportunities to score. They'll be at Marvel. There'll be plenty of it flying around. If you do have someone like, I don't know, Petracca or whatever against Essendon, a Took Miller or Matt Rowell, don't mind that. Heaney against Greater Western Sydney, probably not so much with the James Jordan tag. Butters, if he's got a fire under him, they're playing the Hawks this week. I just don't feel great. I mean, the Hawks did a number on Bont last week. And speaking of Bont, the Dogs, I mean, the problem is they're playing the Cats. You got Oishi and Mullen out there. But the big problem we saw with the Dogs is that without Tinglish, there's no one to get their midfielders the ball. They will probably get Libba back, but they are just dropping like flies at the moment. Norton hurt his hand. Bont and Darcy are on my team, and I'm now that little bit nervous having watched them without Tinglish and just how they sort of fell apart. But Bont's good enough. You ride with him. But against the Cats this week, probably not one of my picks for captaincy. But I do love the Shees. Luke Jackson against the Eagles, not a bad one as well to finish off your Sunday. Just saying. Lockie Neal against the D's, maybe not so much. But yeah, so I think she's going to be my C this week. So there you go. That is the round 6. Jim Does Supercoach Team Reveal. How did you go? Let us know. Sound off if you've got any other questions. If you've got any compare and contrast, cash cows, who I like, etc. I think for the minute, I just really like the Tom Edwards vibe. Milan Murdock at the moment, as long as he gets named, he comes in. If not, I'm also not too averse to sort of keeping the powder dry. The Watkins moving backwards thing scares me a little bit. I don't like it when rookies drop money. Like, it's not going to be a giant amount, but it's also not going to be helping you sort of move to the next person. So I'd rather bank that cash now, move on, and Edwards hopefully goes for another decent score. Maybe he puts up a half decent one against that Suns team and he goes whack. So a lot going on. Anyway, there is round 6 team reveal with Jim Does Supercoach. Here's to a big AFL round 6 and happy super coaching.